Greetings everybody, welcome back to this video, and today we're going to talk about iterative statements part 1. In the previous videos we completed conditional statement part 1 and conditional statements part 2. If you are feeling a doubt about the part 2 version of conditional statements, why did I use while there even though while is an iterative statement, it is because while also acts as a conditional statement because we use a condition right over there, and also it acts as an iterative statement. All right, so just read the description of that video. I have stated everything in that. Now let's talk about iterative statements part 1. But what is iteration? The thing is that actually, so if you see here, iteration actually means loop. All right, so by that we see that iterative statement means looping statements. And what is loop? Loop means repetition of statements. So you see, these all three definitions are interconnected. See, iteration means loop. So if I'm iterating a statement, or an iterative statement, if I have a statement that is iterative, okay, that's a specific adjective given to a statement, that would be called a looping statement. And then when I talk about loop, okay, because I have used loop in the first two statements, but we don't know what's the meaning of loop. Loop means repetition of statements. So overall, iterative statements means repetition of statements, repeating statements. Simply, iterative statement is a repeating statement that repeats something, it repeats the statements. All right, so let's see, iterative statements are divided into two categories. Number one is counting loops and the number two is conditional loops. And if you want to see the example, then counting loops is for loop and conditional loops is while loop. We have only one example each, so by this you understand that iterative statements, there are two types of iterative statements, for loop and while loop. All right, so in this video we'll be talking about counting loops. All right, the first category of iterative loops, those loops that repeat a certain number of times. But the name itself, counting. All right, so counting loops that repeats a certain number of times. For that we use for loop. As I showed you previously, we used a iterative statement. It's called for loop. All right, let's say I wanted to print something like this: unity is purity, unity is purity, unity is purity, unity is purity. So I'm printing the statement unity is purity 4 times. For that I can write this code. All right, so we know this will work, this will print out unity is purity, but the problem is it's so time consuming. All right, it's a lot time consuming because you have to write, if you had to print this statement 10 times, you had to write that 10 times, 15 times, 15 times, 100 times, 100 times. But what if I tell you that I can print out this complete output unity is purity 4 times in just 2 lines of codings? Even if I had to print this 100 times, I could use only 2 lines of coding. For that, let's see the main syntax of for loop. First of all, we have for. Okay, so the statement is the keyword for is used at the beginning, and then we can create any variable we want. Okay, any variable you want, you can add it here. Don't use any existing variable. We are not using an existing variable, we are creating a variable here. So for any variable, then in range. So in range, by this you understand a bit English things. For this in range, okay, for let's say any variable, mostly people use I. Okay, so for I in range, and then we have this parenthesis, or you can call them brackets. We have start value, we have stop value, we have step value, and then we have colon right over there. So start value means actually the number from where you have to start. All right, and then stop value is the number where you are going to end, and then the step value is how many values you want to skip at a time, like 1 or 0. 0 means nothing will happen, 1 or 2. So if I'm going to say 2, then alternate numbers would be printed in the range of start value and stop value. So I'm repeating this. The main function of start, stop, step is what? Start starts the value, the first value which you need. Stop is the last value, not the last value actually, the value next to the last. I'll tell you why. And then we have step value. So let's say I used the start value as 1 and stop value as 5. So if I use step 1, then the output can be 1 2 3 4. All right, but if I use step value as 2, so it would be like 1 3, that's all. All right, so skipping 2 values between them. And then I have used colon, indent is created, and then we can use statements to loop. Okay, so 2 have written here 2. You can add any more statements you want. Very important thing, stop value is never included. So you never include any stop value. So if I print, like if I write stop value as 5, then the output will never print me 5. All right, so let's see on what's happening here. Let's say I have a question here. I have to adjust this syntax something so that it prints me this same output. All right, so let's see it. We want to get this one, so I've just numbered them 1 2 3 4 just so you can understand. We don't need the output with 1 2 3 4 right over here. I'm just showing you so that you can understand what I'm trying to say here. So the first line and the last we have 4 lines. So first line, second line, third line, fourth line. To write the program, first of all, for any variable I in range 1 comma 5 comma 1 and then colon. Now 1, why did I use 1? Because the first one, okay, I need 1, and then 5. So 5, why did I write 5? Because I have 4 statements to print. So every time we are going to use the next value. If I have to print it 3 times, I'm going to use 4. If I'm going to print 100 times, then 101. So because the stop value is never included, and then I can give the statement print unity is purity. So what happens is actually here, for I in range 1 comma 5 comma 1, so the loop here is for 4 times. The statements would be looped 4 times. Why? Because from 1 to 5 we have 4 numbers. All right, so 1 2 3 4. Why I'm not saying 5? Because stop value is never included, keep in mind. All right, and the step value is 1, so we have 4 statements to print. So this in turn would give me the output in Python shell as this one: unity is purity, unity is purity, unity is purity, and unity is purity 4 times. All right, let's see another example so that you can get thorough with this. I have to change the syntax to something like this: 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. All right, so let's go and check out what we need as the output. We need something like this. So I'm going to write statement something like this: for I in range 2 comma 5 comma 1. All right, so why did I have used 2 here? Because the number starting here is 2 and I need it till 4. But why did I write the stop value as 5? The reason is because stop value is never included, so I have written 4. So 2 3 4, and the step value is 1 always, and then I'm going to print I comma in string in our apostrophes days. So you know, right, how to separate 2 data types and data values. We have discussed that in the first ever Python video, that is 4P series video. You can check that link in the description, or you can find the I button right over there. So this in turn would give me the output something like this: 2 days, 3 days, and 4 days. All right, so I hope you're thorough with this. So what we're doing is we are writing for, we are creating a variable, and then we're writing in a range, and then in brackets what we're doing is 2 comma 5 comma 1. Why did I use 2? Because the first number in 2 days is 2. In the first line we have statement where the first number as 2, and then the last we have 4. I need to print 4 days, but if I use 4 there, the problem is it will go only till 2 days and 3 days. Because if you want to include 4, we will use 5, because 5 is never included. 5 is the stopping value there. All right, and then comma 1 as the step value, because we are skipping 1. So after 2, we are not skipping 1, we are going to the next value. So 2, then 3, then 4. All right, so I comma days. Let's see the last example. You write over here: for variable in range, this same syntax to be converted into launching in 3, launching in 2, launching in 1. So we are decreasing here. You see that previously we did 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So 2 3 4, that was an ascending, but this is a descending order: 3 to 1. It's going reverse. So here how we're going to do is, for I in range 3 comma 0, we are going backwards now. All right, so 3 comma 0 comma minus 1. You see the step value is minus 1 right over here. Now why I have used minus 1 is because we are going backwards, right? 3 2 1. So we are subtracting 1 from 3. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So next line will be 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. That's all. Okay, why 0 is not printing? Why we don't have launching in 0? Because stop value is never included. All right, for the forward one, for the ascending one, what we had done was, for I in range 3 comma, let's say 0 is 7, so stop value is 7, 3 comma 7 comma 1. So 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 1 5, and so on. But since it's descending, we use minus 1, and as the statement we have launching in comma I. Okay, so now this you understand that the variable we were using for I in range, I is storing the values from the numbers which are generated between the range 3 to 0. So first the value of I would be 3, the second value of I would be 2, and the last value would be 1. So it keeps on doing that. All right, and this was going to give me output as launching in 3, launching in 2, and launching in 1. Now I have to show you guys one thing here. You see, for I in range 1 comma 5 comma 1, and then print unit is purity for I in range 5, only 5. There is no start, there is no step value. Unit is purity. What happens if I get this output? These both are the output of their own coding. So you see that even though we have the source code, both source code as different, we have the same output. From this you need to understand that the step value and start value are optional. Okay, so if you don't write this step and start value, the default value will always remain 1. All right, so this was the theory part of this video. Let's go and do some 2-3 questions and try to figure out what actually is for statements. So you see here, I want the output to come something like this: 3 boys, 5 boys, and 7 boys. All right, so unlike the previous one, we were having all consecutive numbers either in ascending or either in descending, that were like 3 4 5, or like 4 5 3 4 5 or 5 4 3, that were in consecutive numbers. Okay, but here we have some alternate numbers, 3 5 7. So after 3 we have 4, but we're not using 4, we need 5. After 5 we have 6, but we're not getting 6, we're using 5. So for that, let's start with creating our for statement. So for use every time take care of that. All right, so for, then I'm going to create any variable here. Let me just take n. Okay, and then we have to use in range. All right, and then what we do is bracket open, bracket close, and then put a colon there, and then go in the brackets. We need to have the start value. So you see that the number is starting at 3. All right, so we're going to use start value as 3, and then put a comma, and then you see where are we stopping? 7. But we have to not write 7, we have to write the next number, that is 8, and then comma, how many value are we skipping after 3? So 3 4 5, so 5 is the second number after 3. All right, and 7 is the second number after 5, so we have the step value as 2. All right, so 3, see here, 3 plus 2 is 5, so we have 5 right over here. Okay, and then 5 plus 2 is what? 7, and we have 7 right over here. So once it's done, I'm going to press enter. You see the indent is generated, and then what we have to print? 3 5 7, we have to print boys. So I'm going to type here print bracket open, bracket close, 2 apostrophes, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write boys here first of all. All right, means use capital boys. All right, and then I'm going to come here because we have to print the numbers here. So these numbers 3, this 5, and then this 7 is stored in n. Okay, this stored in where? N. So for that I'm going to use here n comma, so a variable comma is string. So what happens, the first value of n would be 3, the second would be 5, the third would be 7th. Let's run the program and check how it goes on. Yep, that's the correct output: 3 boys, 5 boys, 7 boys. All right, now let's do another thing. What I'm going to do is, let's change this. Let's increase this to, let's say 6, and then this one to 9. So what happens? 3 plus what is 6? 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus what is 9? 6 plus 3 is 9. So it means what? The step value should be just changed to 3. But wait there, you see the last value, the stop value, the last value is 9, but the stop value is 8. So what we have to do? Change 8 to 10, because we need the next value every time. And then let's run the program and check if it works. Yep, that's correct. 3 boys is 6 boys and 9 boys. All right, now let's do something different. Now let's do some descending stuff. Let's make it 10, and then let's make it 14, and then let's make it 18. All right, and just change this to girls because because why not? Okay, so I've changed this, and then what I'm going to do is here I'm going to change these numbers. All right, so 10 was there. First of all, let's start it. Let me just remove this start value, start value, and then stop value, and then step value, and remove these commas. So it's like we are going to write the program again here. Okay, just forgot to write this girls. Yep. So what happens is this first value, the start value is 18, so I'm going to write 18 here, comma, what is my stop value? 10. But I'm not going to write here 10, I'm going to write the next number after that, 9. Why I'm not writing 11 is because this the what you can say is the combination of these numbers is in descending order. Okay, they're combined in descending order: 18 14 10. If it was 10 14 18, then after 18 I would be writing 19, but here 18, 14, 10. So next will be 9. So stop value is 9. And then what to subtract from 18 so that we get 14? Obviously 4. What to subtract from 14 so we get 10? 4. So stop value would be minus 4 because we're subtracting. Alright, let's run the program and check out if this works. Yep, this works. 18 girls, 14 girls and 10 girls. Alright, this was pretty easy, I think so, you know, because it's not so bad, it's not so hard. And let's do one last thing, one last program here. So some small program like this, 10 to 9. So start value is 10 and then stop is 9, but we're going to use something that's before that, that is 8, and then comma minus 1, and then we're going to write here print. Let me just use small print, and then I'm going to type here simply n. Alright, so let's run the program and check. Yeah, that's perfect. I hope you found this video informative. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not turned on notifications. Next will be on iterative statements part 2. We'll be discussing while loop. That's all for today. Like the video. See you guys very soon.